somber Saturday. It's cloudy, but it is what it is. It's all good. Welcome to the Empire 161 show. Yeah, this is our season finale, unfortunately. A little earlier than we wanted it to be. But as Frank says, that's life. That's how it goes. Shot down in October, as Lisa had mentioned before we got on. So you can edit the words a little bit. But yeah, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it as always. Whether you're joining us on the Facebook stream, if you're joining us on YouTube, you're joining us on Instagram or Twitter or the audio-only version, wherever you get your podcasts. Always appreciate the support and love for the show. Lisa, what's up? How's it going this afternoon? You know, what's been going on since Tuesday?
I don't know, Ed. I always feel a big letdown, and we're spoiled, okay? And I recognize that we are spoiled as Yankee fans. So when we don't make it past the wild card or even make it into the playoffs, it just seems like an extra long winter. So I feel like winter already started, even though fall just started. And hopefully we can get through it soon and get right back to spring training. I'll say a little bit more about this at the end of our podcast today, but I just want to say that since joining, I've been having so much fun, which is also a reason why I'm sad that it's already come to an end. We've done 13 shows together so far, and I've had a blast. So over the off season, I suppose I'm gonna have to be even more knowledgeable because I'm just general knowledge and love of baseball kind of girl. But now that we're doing this, I have to kind of hone in on some things that y'all want to talk about. not necessarily what I want to talk about. John Carlos Stanton, by the way, I love your shirt. But yeah, that's life. That's life. We're not in the postseason anymore. It makes me sad.
Yeah, I mean it does stink too, and like it is. We have expectations, and they were not met, and we'll get into that a little bit further, but we'll get into the overall thoughts of it. No, but honestly though, I was probably gonna save it for the end. But yeah, no, I've had a blast doing the show. I'm glad that you're on this. I'm glad. Listen, I've had 3 co-hosts this season. We've made it through it. Well, I'm happy. I'm excited for what we're gonna do moving forward for next year and everything like that. So yeah, it does think we'll be on hiatus for a little bit because it'll be very strange to keep doing a Yankees show when there's no season going on. I don't know what the heck we would talk about every week. We can see where that goes. I mean, last year Tim and I ended up reviewing episodes of The Mandalorian in the off season. So, but the shows broke off though. We created 2 shows out of the one, but yeah, we'll be on hiatus for a little bit. But let's get to it. Let's jump into the show. Let's have a little fun with this, for what we can. Unfortunately, our Schwib, our usual segment is not exactly the brightest spot in here. Lisa, you want to lead off with it? Because I know this was a story that you caught, because I admittedly did not watch any of the games with sound, because I had softball last night and I caught some of the games and there was no sound, so I couldn't hear this idiocy that was freaking said last night. But go ahead.
Yeah. So during the playoff game last night with the White Sox, apparently I didn't hear it either, but I woke up and read about it. I wanted to talk about what Jim Cott said during the first inning of the game about Joan Moncada. So he basically made what folks can describe as insensitive, inappropriate, and you could also say straight up racist remarks about Joan when he was at bat in the first inning. So, and I'm not going to just say Jim Cott. I'm also going to hold Buck Showalter accountable for this as well, because he also made a comment that I thought was questionable. So Buck Showalter said during his at bat in the first inning that when he was talking about Joan Moncada, he said, "Can we have one of those?" So I just want to pause there. You're talking about a human being. So just to say, "Can we have one of those?" to me sounds very inappropriate. And it's also a very suspect thing for, let's just say it, a white man to say about a person of color, referring to them as one of those, and can we have one? He's not an object. He is a human being. And then Jim Cott responded by saying, get a 40-acre field full of them. Once again, you're reducing Joan Moncada to an object, and you're using a term that is most associated with slavery. So, Cott, I appreciate this one thing. Jim Cott later apologized during the fifth inning and said it was a poor choice of words and insensitive and hurtful. So, uh, I don't know if somebody told him that or if he saw his Twitter or whatever blow up or one of his associates was like, hey, you can't say that. But I just want to say, hey, commentators, can you please find a better way to compliment and elevate the talents of athletes of color across all sports? Would either Jim Cott or Buck Showalter have made these comments had they been referring to, I don't know, Bryce Harper or Trey Turner? Would they say, can we have one of those about either of them? I just want folks to keep in mind that baseball is a sport for people who have a lot of privilege and access. Baseball involves a lot of equipment, it's expensive. When you're a kid, travel leagues cost a lot of money. You need a car, you need somebody to take you to all of your games while growing up. And the cards are already in favor of folks who have more financial stability and more family support. Players of color already have enough challenges in their way just because they're people of color, and then let alone trying to become a professional player in Major League Baseball. So let's not reduce folks to objects and make potentially racist comments when analyzing their skills.
Yeah, no, it's well said, Lisa. That's there's zero defense for Showalter or Cott there. Who knows what happened with Cott? Like why it stinks too. Scott used to work for the those familiar with the team. He used to work for the Yes Network, and I mean during his time, to be honest with you, he was one of my favorite commentators that he had in the booth during that time. I mean, he knows the game in and out, and he was a pleasure to listen to. But I mean, that's just bananas. I don't even know what to say. Like
I
you
just
get
feel like,
into it's crazy. It's wild. It's wild
yeah.
to me that the train of thought that goes into someone's head to analyze a player like that is crazy. Like I'm just thinking about it. Like I mean, we've talked about players, baseball players, and athletes on this show for as many episodes as we've done before that, and through life, and we talk about it. And just that description just never ever or characterization ever crosses the mind. It's weird. It's just really strange. It's sad. It sucks. Um, I don't know. I don't know what repercussions he's going to get from this. Is MLB Network going to pull him off the rest of the series of the White Sox Astros series? My guess would be most likely. I don't know. It's disturbing. It is.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah, I don't know what the repercussions are going to be. I don't have high hopes that there will be repercussions. I do hope that MLB takes this as an opportunity to show that they're really trying to change the culture of Major League Baseball. I've mentioned this before when I was talking about Hispanic Heritage Month, and just in general, excuse me, like what the Players Alliance has been trying to do to elevate players who identify as being Black. Um, there's just not enough that I see Major League Baseball, the entity, doing as a whole. I think pockets, and I think it's really players and former players that are the ones that are doing the things and pushing the envelope and raising awareness more. Um, and I appreciate seeing from my very distant position as a non-basketball watcher how the NBA has been changing over the last year and a half to 2 years, how the WNBA has gotten louder in their activism voices, and even how the NFL is trying to make changes as well. Major League Baseball, haven't seen it nearly as much in my opinion, and it stinks because that's the sport I love the most. And to not feel like Major League Baseball appreciates players of color, and then, or if they do, it's only because of things like what they both said last night. Like That's not what it's about. It's not about an object that you can buy and put on a field. It's not about how when players come from other countries, you give them a quarter of what a player that comes from America would make because that sounds like a lot more money to them and it's not what their worth is. So I'm gonna stop there because I can go on about it. It is something that really riles me. And I told Ed earlier that I had to actually write down what I would say so I wouldn't go off script, and I'm going off now. So I'm just gonna stop there. But it needed to be said. It needed to be pointed out. I just really hope that MLB does do something um heavier than Jim Cott sending out an apology.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess it would be specifically MLB Network. To
Yeah.
I don't know I don't know how much Major League Baseball. I mean, actual Major League Baseball owns the actual network. I'm sure they have a piece of it. I don't think they fully own it, but
But
whatever that is.
Major League Baseball could at least come out with a statement saying
Yeah,
we
no,
don't
that's what I was going
support
to get
that.
to. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was going to get to. Is just that overall, I'm curious to see how the situation is going to be handled
Mhm.
moving forward. But yeah, I agree. I hope there is something that happens for that. I mean, whether you pull it from the series or the rest of the postseason or whatever it is, you got to do something about it. You can't let this shit just keep on, just keep rolling like this. Like it's not acceptable at all.
Mhm.
It sucks on every single level of it. But sorry, I got to hoping to not have a cold again, but it's getting a little nasally over. All right, yeah. So let's switch from we're going to shift over from one topic to not a topic that's more just trivial, in comparison because we're talking about actual results of games and things like that. Yeah, let's get to it. Unfortunately, the roller coaster of the season did continue with the wild card game because the week leading up to it, Yanks had a pretty solid week in sweeping the Red Sox and going ahead and taking 2 out of 3 from Tampa Bay. I'm sorry, from Tampa Bay. I wish they did. It wouldn't have been played in Boston. 2 out of 3 in Toronto, and then they kind of stumbled in against the Rays at home, which led to the game being in Boston, and the Yanks got eliminated 6-2 on Tuesday night. A game that they really weren't in
No.
at any point, to be honest with you. I mean, Cole went ahead. He only lasted 2 innings, giving up 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. The only guys who really showed up was Stanton.
Yep.
He was 3 for 4 with a homer. He had a homer the other way around the pesky pole. 2 other balls that were hit pretty damn far that would have been out of majority of major league ballparks, but of course, again, this is what you get though when you don't get the home advantage. They weren't out of Fenway because maybe they kept on building.
I was
That
gonna,
great monster
I
came
was
out.
gonna mention that post that you put on the page. I think it
Maybe they
came
did.
true. They manifested it because those two would have definitely been bombs in other stadiums.
Yeah, they absolutely
Instead,
would
they
have.
were singles.
Yeah, and it sucks. It is what it is though. You got to play on the field what it is. That's why you should have home advantage. They squandered away the home advantage against the Rays. You're playing against the team that's playing out the schedule, isn't really playing for anything. And it's unacceptable that you go ahead and lose that. And the Friday night game against the Rays was the most frustrating. That's a game I wanted to comment on before we go back into this. But think back to last Friday, Yankees Rays down 2-1 into the top of the 8th. Boom goes to Albert Abreu in a game you're down 1 run. The last guy in the bullpen, clearly not in the circle of trust. This is the guy you go to, and he timely goes ahead and gives up a couple more runs. Yanks go ahead and rally. I don't believe in the whole thing. The outcome would have played out the same exact way. That's not how baseball works. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? Different pitch sequences and that. But the Yanks kind of squandered it away right there. That was a game that you just can't do that. It's a stupid decision. Really, really stupid decision. And then they got embarrassed on Saturday. That was the game that you were at where they got smacked
That was
around.
a horrible game.
And then, yes, obviously I'm happy they won Sunday afternoon to get into the damn wild card game. But wild card game essentially was a no-show. I mean, Cole goes ahead, gives up the 2-run homer to Xander Bogaerts when he's already ahead with 2 strikes in the first inning. And they kind of just went from there.
Mhm.
In this game too, though, there was another send by Phil Nevin again on a Stanton's double, and Judge got thrown out at home. And I think the best thing to clarify this, there was a meme that was running around, and it was just Plawecki had the ball, and in the shot, in the frame, Judge isn't even in it. That kind of tells you how far away, how he was gunned out by a mile. And it wasn't because like Judge isn't fast or anything like that. It was a bad send. I'm sorry. It was a terrible send on Nevin. And we went ahead and we're tops in the league of getting guys thrown out at home this season.
Yeah.
Like, that's unacceptable. Like, I mean, how many times does it have to happen? Come on, man. I'm not saying that would have turned the tide or anything like that, but you had a rally going. The rally could have kept going. Maybe momentum swings. Who the hell knows? But it was a terrible send. The guy's not even in the frame. If it was a bang play, that's one thing. It wasn't.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that Phil Nevin didn't consider was he was coming all the way from first base, right? And even though, like you said, Aaron Judge is a pretty good runner, like he was booking it all the way from first base. That was technically, well, I don't know how you said it was a double. I thought it was just like a really hard hit single because of how it caromed off the wall.
Yeah.
And then Giancarlo was able to advance off the throw is how I saw it, but whatever, potato with that one.
He ends up at second base one way or the other.
Yeah, he ends up at second base, but Aaron Judge was coming all the way from first, so that's a hell of a long way to run. And Phil Nevin was saying everything had to be perfect. Not really, man. Did you see how hard the ball caromed off the wall? And clearly the Red Sox know how to play it. That's their home field. Yep. So I didn't think it was you had to be perfect.
No.
Definitely had to be a good throw home, obviously. But like you said, Aaron Judge wasn't even in the frame. And I think the thing that summed it up most was Giancarlo Stanton's face. I mean, he was like,
yeah.
And looked so pissed off. And I think I read that like he just yelled out, fuck. Like
it looked like it.
He had every right to do that because Anthony Rizzo had just hit a home run. Aaron Judge got on base. Then Stanton hit his second hard hit of the night. And then you go and get Aaron Judge thrown out at home. So what? You don't have faith in the rest of your lineup?
Gallo was the one coming up next, and then there was some talk that it was like, oh, you don't have any faith in Joey Gallo. That's not an excuse to get people thrown out at the plate. And what was a tight game at the time? Remember, it was like a 3-1 game.
Yeah. So no, there was a Yankee rally happening in that moment. They were energized.
Yes. Yeah.
And as soon as he got thrown out at home, I felt all the wind come out of their sail. Not mine, theirs. I felt it. I was just like, oh, they just lost all energy for this game.
Yeah. And from the right field grandstand.
Yes, you were there. You were there.
Yes, I ended up making the trip up to Boston with my wife Angie. I'll get into that in a minute. That was an experience. Still, I will say that. But yeah, it was officially scored a single. Advanced. You're correct. He advanced to second on the throw. Like you said, potato, whatever it is. You can't allow that to happen. That's just something that has to be addressed in the offseason. We'll get to the offseason shortly. But you can't have your third base coach just getting people thrown out all season. That was one of the things. If you're going to go through a checklist of what the problems were with the Yankees' offense this season, getting people thrown out at the plate constantly is one of them. Mm-hmm. I mean, definitely on the list. Kind of got to fix that. Shouldn't be that hard to fix either. No. Really shouldn't be that hard to fix. How about no more Phil Nevin? Just to say it. I mean, I don't know.
So, before we get into some other things about the night or keep it moving, I also want to name that, like, you have to give credit where credit's due. Nathan Eovaldi had a great game.
Pitched his ass off. Yeah.
He went 5 1/3 innings. He had 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, and retired 11 Yankee batters before Rizzo's home run.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, I don't know. I think like a part of it was like, okay, I'm not a Yankee anymore. Well, here you go. This is what you're missing.
Yeah, and there's no question. He was going to want to stick it to them every chance he gets.
Yeah. And
especially
he
being with the Red
did.
Sox. Yeah, and especially being with the Red Sox, you know he's going to want to do that. That's extra motivation too. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't doubt it at all. You know, like you mentioned, Rizzo also homered. That was a pretty good shot too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the Yankees offense with runners in scoring position was 0 for 1. 0 for 1. So they really legitimately only had the one threat that we're talking about right now. And that's it in the entire night. So Loizaga was off. He also gave up a couple of runs later in the game. He had that issue. You know, Severino was maybe left in a little bit too long. That's kind of how I felt about it. But I mean, Cole not lasting past 2 innings. Listen, again, you're down 3-1. Cole was all over the place. He's getting hit hard.
Yeah.
This isn't a regular season game. You don't have time to see if Cole settles down. If it's a regular season game, Cole probably stays in past 50 pitches, and then you see what happens. But you can't do that. I mean, that's immensely disappointing by the ace of your staff. I mean, it is unacceptable. I mean, that's literally why he's on the team. And it's not completely Cole's fault. It's the offense. It's Cole.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of blame to go around here. But overall, that's pretty much what did them in. I mean, straight simple. There's not really too much to like get down and break down all of it. The big breakdown was the Phil Nevin send and Cole not lasting past the second inning. I mean, right then and there, you're pretty much done. That covers what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Red Sox had all the momentum from there. And it just blows. But yeah, as far as it goes with, I mean, my own personal experience with going to the game, it was an experience. I got to go to a Yankees Red Sox game in Fenway Park. Not something you do all the time. I mean, it's not the first time I've been to Fenway Park, but I avoided the Fenway Frank as I promised I would.
Smart move.
Yes, Angie took a picture of me under a sign that says Fenway Frank, where I was fake vomiting into my hands. I had the opportunity because when we got there pretty early, and I was like, all right, so what are we gonna do? What are we gonna get? That was the first thing I saw. I'm like, absolutely not. Well, with the sausage and peppers and a pretzel, that kind of sucked. It was like dry and no salt. Like it was pretty shitty. But we did find some popcorn though that they had there that was pretty good. That was like pre-packaged. It was like in a wrapper. So I was like, hey, this is probably gonna be shit. But we were starving at the time. But it was pretty good. I gotta say that was a silver lining. If you haven't been to Fenway, by the way, the seats suck. The actual seats. Oh, Lisa, then I'm talking to you directly. The seats suck. The actual seats are trash. I'm gonna just let you know that right now. Like it is an
You
old
could tell. Yeah, you could tell.
It's an old ballpark built for people under 4 feet tall, and the experience, the vibe of being at Fenway, I appreciate. I do enjoy it a lot. I like the vibe. People seem to be like there to watch baseball. Like everyone is into it, and obviously it's a playoff game, a 1-game elimination. Everyone should be into the damn game. But I've been to other games with it. But yeah, I like the atmosphere of Fenway. I do. It's very baseball. You can feel it. But the seats are so uncomfortable. Like Lisa, I'm not even kidding. I'm sitting in a chair right now. Like normally, you can't do that. I had to slide my legs into the seat in front of me just so I can actually get my knees to extend to normal level of sitting down. I'm 6'3". I understand I'm tall. I get it. But I'm not 7 feet. I don't play in the NBA. I'm not 7 feet tall. So let's not get crazy now. And Angie also said the same thing. That's like, these are pretty tiny seats. I mean, you're not the only one.
Yeah, it reminds me hearing it because I've never gone there yet. That is on my list. It reminds me of Nassau Coliseum before they updated it. So I took, this is going off of the topic of baseball, but I took my mom to see Mark Anthony at Nassau Coliseum once, and we sat to the side of the stage, and I had to physically sit. So if the stage was this way, I had to sit like this.
Yep.
But my chair was going like this. So I had to sit like this the whole time, very uncomfortable. And my chair had a spring. Let's just say it was not comfortable to sit in the chair. So I had to stand for the majority of the concert, even though I'm not that kind of person. I don't like standing at concerts for long periods of time. And yeah, shortly after that, they announced that they were going to renovate Nassau Coliseum. But it sounds like that. It also sounds like a lot of the Broadway theaters, like they also have very tiny seats. And from pictures that I've seen or on TV, Fenway has a lot of obstructing pillars, right?
Oh, they sure do, because there was
Yeah.
one right in front of us. Angie couldn't see shit.
Aw.
Yeah, she was not happy about that. It obstructed my view to like center field, but the seats are a certain way. We were standing. Everyone was standing pretty much the entire game while actual play was going on, and I was standing sideways to face the plate.
Yeah.
If I would have stood up straighter in my seat, I would have been staring at the green monster, and that's it.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was annoying. Now, it also explains to you probably why another reason for motivation to stand the whole game is the seats suck. So there you go. That's nobody
So
wants this.
unless you have the means to be in like the owner's box or potentially the green up on the green monster, which is where I would want to sit, but I heard those seats are crazy.
Out of control, those prices are.
Yeah. That's pretty much it for Fenway. So
Yeah, like I want to prepare people if you're going to go to Fenway and you're going to make the trip up there. Just understand the seats are not going to be comfortable. Just be ready for that. It's not impossible to get through a game there. I've sat in other seats there and not had the problem as bad as I did, but that no more right field grandstands for me. That specifically is off the mark. I will make a note of that because I'm sure I'll be in Fenway again at some point in my life. But I have no doubt about that. But yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable. And you mentioned about the Coliseum. Especially at the end, the Coliseum was getting bad. Spring's popping up. It smelled like cat piss in there. It was, I shit you not, it did. I went to some Rangers Islanders games there, and it was pretty brutal towards the end. They were really letting themselves go quite a bit. I don't know if he wants to chime in on this, but we do have a guest because he wants to complete his clean sweep of pop culture pros this week. People, if you're watching the show, you're very familiar with him. Tim Sabala. What's up? The sweep.
What's up, Lisa? How are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. The sweep is complete, so I'm good. But I was shocked, dude, that you were up in Fenway. I was like, holy shit, look at this.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, the way it ended up unfolding was I was with Courtney's brother TJ at the Yankees-Rays game once he won, and the Red Sox clinched home field. I literally was driving over the RFK Bridge. Yes, Triborough, whatever.
Triborough,
whatever. I pulled over to the side, I put on my blinkers, and I went on StubHub, and I bought tickets right there. I'm like, fuck this. I'm going to Fenway. I'm going to see this damn game. This is Yankees-Red Sox. I can't miss this. I bought 2 tickets, and then threw it out to Jerry at first, because I was like, I'm not going. Somebody will go to this damn game. Somebody's going to this game, one way or the other. Lisa, I know you have work. That's why I didn't go to you.
I would have gone.
Would you really? You would have called out. All right, my bad. Angie said, listen, Jerry doesn't want to go, I'm in. She did say it immediately.
Listen, I always accept Jerry, Angie before me. If it's Tim, I might have to fight him, but
I'll tell you right now, Tim, you would have had you would not have been happy with the seat situation like I was just going off on. Like it was a bitch. It was a bitch.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of little tiny old school seats. The old school stadiums too, they're not built for guys of my stature. So
Wrigley's not this bad though at all. I've sat in similar seats at Wrigley and it wasn't like this. Fenway, it is what it is. So I ended up pretty much standing the entire game, which is whatever. You're into it. It doesn't really get to you at the time. After the game, and you can't get a cab, and you got to walk. You walk because we actually stayed with Angie's friend, who lives like 2 miles away, which was cool. So that's what I'm saying. We ended up driving up. We saved on airfare. Just drove there. Brought the pups up. They stayed with her friend. They hung out there. We were good to go, and we just walked home. We walked home after the game amongst the the mass holes, and that's what they refer to, mass holes. It's not a curse, and whatever they were. I think one guy may have said something like, "Oh, back to New York." I'm like, honestly, I wish I was there right now. I mean, pretty quick, I get to go in bed, but that's besides the point. It was a cool experience though to just experience a playoff game there and Yankees Red Sox and stuff. The outcome sucks, but whatever. At least I'm glad I didn't get sick and vomit all over the place this time.
That's progress.
There you go. No Fenway Frank. Just no Fenway Frank, and I'll be solid. Yeah, but whatever. It sucks. So what are you gonna do? They fucking lose to the Red Sox, and it's just like it's becoming a thing now. The Red Sox have kind of owned them in the playoffs recently, and you're gonna have to start turning it around, man.
I actually have a little bit of a Boston Yankee history in postseason. If you got a second.
Yeah, I got
so in 1949, we won the season finale against them. So I guess that's kind of where it started, where we were, both aiming for the postseason. 1978, famously, Bucky Dent, the AL East tiebreaker game. In 2003, it went in our favor again. This is how Aaron Boone started kind of like rising in notoriety with his walk-off ALCS Game 7. And then the next year, it swung all the way in the other direction. Boston, after being down, I hate saying this, it hurts every time, but after being down 3-0, Boston came back and won 4 straight to clinch the ALCS Game 7 from us. That was a massive heartbreak. It was embarrassing. It had never happened before. It'll probably never happen again. I never want to see that happen again, at least with my team. And then
unless it's us coming down from 0-3.
That's
we were able to
totally want to see it.
Back.
Totally want to see that. And then this year, the AL wildcard game, Boston rightfully took it from us because we didn't capitalize, and we made some stupid, calls, as we were just talking about before. So that's been our history with postseason versus the Red Sox. So, if you're looking at all around, we're 3-2 when it comes to that. I know my friend Chris, who I still think is just likes to be controversial for no reason, is loving life. I'm surprised he didn't text me or post something on my Facebook page about this, because he's allegedly a Boston fan these days. But I don't want to see this happen again and even out that score. I really don't.
Yeah, that's the elimination games. It's becoming a trend that we need to start changing around. How about winning the division and not being in the wild card game next year?
How about that? Because we could have done
that. How about that? Could have.
And having the better team. I'm sorry, but we have the better team. That's the worst part. Yeah. This whole season comes down to consistency. We could not be consistent. When you win 10, 11 in a row, and you follow that up with losing 7, 8 in a row, it's like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me? You think about you avoid that streak, we're not even in that stupid game. We're already in the ALDS if you think about that stupid streak. So yeah, it's about consistency now. They got to keep that going. I mean, you finally had Stanton coming through, Judge coming through. They remain healthy finally. And like I said, it is heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, that's honestly a perfect transition, because that was the next subject, was to look back at the 2021 Yankees in general. And I mean, no, Tim, you touched on it perfectly, actually. It was a roller coaster season. It was week to week. You had no idea what you were going to get. Lisa and I talked about it too. Like, are we going to have a jolly, happy show this week? Or are we going to have like a let's grit our teeth and get through this show? Like, who the hell knows? And it was wild, man. It really was. And there was a lot of underachieving that went on throughout the lineup. And the key to it was Judge and Stanton pretty much dragging this team to the postseason. That's pretty much what they did. There was a key. You finally found it. How did it keep them both healthy at the same time? Who knows? Who would have thought it would have been, hey, let's get Stanton to play the outfield a couple of times a week? Who would have thought? And I don't know. He seems more engaged in the games. DHing is not for everybody. And I would like to see that moving forward.
Not to mention,
he's a good outfielder.
He's a good outfielder. Like,
people forget that. He's not Frankenstein out there. He can move.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, no, the guy's a solid outfielder.
We talked about this, I think, last week too. We don't know. I don't know if Brett Gardner is going to be coming back or not. And even if he does, I don't know what. I'm not even going to get into Aaron Hicks, because the guy could just go away at this point. But like, if he's back, I saw him in the dugout towards the latter games of the season. If he's back, if Gardy's there and Stanton's there, listen, I still want Stanton to be out in the outfield over the two of them any day. I love Gardy. He has been a rock for the Yankees over the course of the last several years. He's really stepped in when he needed to. He's never, complained or been difficult. He's shown up and just done what he has to do. And really produced in ways that we didn't think that he would be able to after so many years in the league. But at the end of the day, out of those three, I have the most confidence in Giancarlo Stanton being in the outfield.
Yeah, and what is why I was actually trying to find this. So here's an interesting stat that's not great. There you go, ESPN. With the stats right there. I love it. That was perfect.
Perfect timing.
Jacoby Ellsbury played 27 more games in 4 seasons with the Yankees than Aaron Hicks has played in 6 seasons with the Yankees.
Oh my God.
Jacoby Ellsbury, who couldn't stay on the field for anything. So that just shows you where Aaron Hicks is at right now.
Like, I'm not a we try not to boo or try not to hate on but Hicks is that guy for me, and he's been that guy for me. When they signed him, I didn't like that contract at all. I never liked the guy, to be honest. I mean, he was good because he was a switch hitter. He was a decent fielder, but I don't know. I never liked that deal. And as far as Gardy too, love Brett Gardner. We were there since day one. Literally, we were there since day one. First game. And but yeah, it's sorry, man. It's time. It's time. You can't be batting 130s, 140s anymore. It can't happen.
Well, I think the keys are to look at. So if we're looking at the outfield, right? Judge is there. We know that he'll be there. Stanton's going to be there. We get that. I want to see Stanton rotating there too. Obviously, Judge will get most of the right field starts. I don't mind him in center field here and there if you're going to kind of like do that once in a while. I thought he definitely more than held his own in center. Not something you want to see every single day. Right. But yeah, Gardner's an interesting case because I know, and I just, the visual of it sounded sad because they said after the wild card game, he sat in his uniform for a while by himself. And he was just like, they really wanted to be back and everything like that. And no, I get it. It was like a sad visual of it. But again, the thing is this. I think it's key to remember is Hicks got hurt. We traded Tauchman and he ended up getting DFA'd by the Giants. You got Wandy Peralta out of the deal, which worked out. I mean, Wandy Peralta was pretty damn good for the Yankees this year. But Gardner was never expected to be this. He was expected to play occasionally here and there. But again, though, due to the injuries, Gardner has to get out there and play way more than he's supposed to at 38 years old. It's not the way it's supposed to be. So you've got to address it. What are you going to do in center field? Hicks is clearly not the answer. It's painfully obvious he can't stay on the field. So you're going to have to get some outfield depth, specifically in center. I think corner between Gallo, Stanton, and Judge, you're kind of covered with the outfield spots. Yeah. You're good with that. But what are you doing up the middle? That's the key to most teams. Catcher, shortstop, center field. You're up the middle defense. What are you doing? And ironically, and this is a transition, is that we go to if we want to talk about the infield, shortstop was a problem this year. Gleyber Torres did not get it done. I mean, they tried it again, didn't work out. They had Gio there at the end, which was a move that was probably done a little bit too late. But Gio was fine there. Gio's just not an everyday major league shortstop, though. I don't see that at all. Gleyber moved back to second, suddenly started hitting, playing better defense, and you're like, oh, wow, look at this. Maybe that's what needed to happen. As far as him moving forward, though, I don't know. Gleyber Torres is a question mark. I generally don't know. Does he stay on the team? He's 24 years old, so I can see why they don't want to give up on him. But he hasn't been that guy in a couple of years now, so you're starting to wonder, did it get in his head or something like that? Hopefully there was nothing fishy going on with PEDs or anything like that. I don't want to be Jerry and start throwing that out there, but it's very strange how it kind of just disappeared. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think part of it is it's in his head that he had so many errors at shortstop this year. I mean, it was horrible. It reminded me of, even though he was the second baseman, Chuck Knobloch back in the day. You just can't throw the ball to first no matter what. Even when you have a platinum glove winner that came over and started covering first base in the way that Anthony Rizzo did. And I think part of it too is Glaber, you need glasses. Like you wear
Wears
glasses.
glasses consistently. He seems to bust them out. He goes on a hot streak, and then the glasses disappear.
When
what is
when
the deal
you
with
go
that?
on a hot streak and you have your glasses on, you need glasses, Glaber.
Yes.
Get contacts, do what you got to do. If you're vain about it, like who cares? Please just get glasses because you clearly need it. And there's no shame in that. So I think that's part of it for him too. I would much rather see Gio continue to stay at third base. I like him better there if he's back.
Yeah, so I think that's the question with the infield overall, right? Like DJ can play second or third or first or whatever. I don't want to see personally. I don't want to see DJ as the everyday first baseman moving forward. I think
no, we know who you want at first base. Ed.
Yes, it's clearly it's Rizzo is there. Unless you're gonna get Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson or something like that, Rizzo's your answer. The guy is right there.
So let me ask, and I agree with you. I'm not trying to say otherwise, but so what happens to Voit then? Is Voit no longer a
Voit's
Yankee?
done. There's no more Voit.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm gonna tell you. I'll tell you right now. Voit is done. I don't see any way he comes back. My gut feeling is, I think Gio is out too. I think DJ ends up becoming the third baseman. I think Gleyber stays at second. You bring Rizzo back for first, and you're going to need to go to free agency and get one of these big shortstops because the market is an insane market. You have Corey Seager, who's my pick, who I want to see the Yankees go after from the Dodgers. They're not. I don't see them bringing him. The Dodgers bringing him back because they traded for Trey Turner, so I can see Turner, who's playing second right now, slide him back over to short, and then they let Seager walk. Seager's the guy I want. He's a left-handed bat who you bring into the lineup, continue balancing it out. Carlos Correa is out there. Javier Baez is out there. Trevor Story's out there. Take your pick. Whoever, I mean, any of them would be a good fit. It's not like none of them would be a good fit. To tell you the truth, Baez is the one who I particularly wouldn't really love to see. He's a really good defender. It's just that he's another guy who strikes out an insane amount. Kind of got to cut that down. I think we've got enough of that.
And he also talks shit to the fans.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to get into that whole thing, and I don't want to see other people who may or may not be watching the show like jump off their house right now because he mentioned Javier Baez. You know who you are. We don't mention his name though.
No, he who should not be named on this show.
I battled him all week.
Yeah,
every show. I battled him on every show.
So he has a lot of time on his hands, clearly.
Yeah,
there's a lot of time in his hands, and he is obsessed with the Yankees.
Yeah,
he's obsessed with the Yankees.
I battled him on the football show. Both football shows I battled him on this week.
He commented on Granny's before.
I said, "Stop poking the bear. Just stop, because I'm going to come after you, and you're not going to like it." And I did. So we went at it. It was good though. But real quick though, you were talking about center field. Do we bring one of these kids up? Are we bringing up Dominguez? Are we bringing up one of these kids? Oh, you think that's another? Or do the Yankees do what they do and they refuse to give up on Hicks because they gave him so much money and a long deal? Do they bring him back yet again? I say cut your goddamn losses and let him go. And I say we bring up one of these kids. We have so many of these kids are talking about who can play center field.
Our farm system is one of the best ones in Major League. Like why do we not utilize that more? We wait and wait and wait. And what's the point?
I'm going to put it like this. For a long time now, I've felt that the Yankees have a way of propping up, like really or maybe overselling some of their minor leaguers. I mean, there's also people who write articles and watch these people play, so it's not like just them. But Cashman has a habit of holding on to prospects and hugging prospects a bit much. Just for an examples, Miguel Andujar. We couldn't get like a bag of balls for him right now. So that's done. He's pretty much a damaged asset if you want to look at it. Clint Frazier, yeah. Unfortunately, concussions and stuff like that. He's had that. Who knows if he's ever even going to play again. But he's another guy we probably held on to a little bit too long. And I know Tim and I had discussions here about Clint Frazier. We were pro Clint Frazier guys. But right now it's kind of come back to bite us in the ass. So now we can't give these guys away. We could have had Garrett Cole a couple of years ago if we would have traded the two of them. So I'm just saying, like, there was value at one point. Estevan Florial is the center fielder who you can kind of look to immediately if you have to look at the minor league system. and wonder if he's the guy. I don't know if he's the answer in center field. Maybe if Gardner is retired, maybe he gets a shot to make the roster, and you can see where he goes from there. Hicks is an interesting situation, though, because like Tim said, he is signed. His contract isn't expiring. He's not getting an insane amount of money, but I don't see other teams lining up to come get him either because he can't stay on the field. So,
well, that's the one thing about baseball, too. Like you said, not like football, you just cut a guy, and that's it. He's gone.
Guaranteed contracts.
Cashman will hold on to the guy because, like, we're paying him. We're going to fucking keep him around doing something. And I think that's a mistake, personally. I personally think it's a mistake because you're holding a roster spot for somebody who can go in there and make a difference when Hicks can't do that.
Yep.
I agree. Now, if the only case I can see for Hicks is if Hicks is not your starting center fielder. If he's like your fourth outfielder off the bench, okay. I can see that.
Switch hitter, that's fine, yeah.
I can see his value there, but then again, comes back to it, though. It's something you would need to address through a trade. It's going to be my guess, because my feeling is they don't trust Florial enough right now, and there has to be a reason for this. So I don't know where you would go with that. I mean, it would need to be addressed through the trade. Voigt's definitely getting dealt. I don't think there's any question about that. I would like to see Hicks dealt, but I don't think that's happening. Voigt has value. I can see that, especially if we get universal DH and as a DH in the National League. Voigt is the perfect DH. The guy can hit. He's had some knee problems recently, but I mean, if we didn't have Stanton or something like that, or no one occupied the DH spot, Voigt, if they were rolling out Voigt at DH every day, I'd be fine with it. But he's not, so I think he's out. And I think that Gio ends up being, my guess is Gio's the odd man out. You're not trading DJ LeMahieu because you just signed him. He's only the second year of that contract. Nobody's going to run to come get him. Glaber could have some trade value. So the backup to that would be if you trade Glaber and hopefully get something. Maybe that's how you address center field. Maybe that's how you address the rotation. Even though when we get to we'll get to rotation more in a minute, but the pitching was pretty good this year. You can't. They actually were the ones who outperformed and helped this team a lot because the offense was not consistent at all. But you still want to get a legit number 2 starter behind Cole, like somebody. Maybe that guy is Severino. I don't know. We'll see. He'll be in a rotation next year. He'll have a spot. But I think there's a lot of moving parts here. It's going to be a fascinating offseason. But my gut feeling is DJ's the third baseman. They hold on to Glaber because they don't want to give up on him yet. They're hoping maybe pushing him back to second. I want to see them bring Rizzo back. I would be shocked if they don't, unless he's on this. I want to go back to the Cubs just because I like playing there and that's it. But I can't knock him for if that's what he wants to do, and I can't knock the Yankees for that because you can't control that. But I would be really, really shocked if they're not in on one of the big free agents. The question is who? My guess, if I had to rank them, would be Seager would be at the top of it. Story would be second. Then I would say Correa. And then Baez.
What about who's the other big free agents, other positions? Who's the biggest?
Those are your big free agent catches. They're all
shortstops. Wow.
It's pretty much, yeah. I mean, Freddie Freeman is going to be a free agent, but him and the Braves have already been talking about a contract extension. And apparently he wants to stay there. They want to keep him. I would be shocked if Freeman gets away, unless that completely falls apart. If Freddie Freeman's your other option, kind of might want to look into that if that's a possibility. I love Anthony Rizzo, but I mean, Freddie Freeman's Freddie Freeman. I'm not stupid. But money-wise, though, we look at it, right? So the Yankees, I would assume they're going to spend. You reset the luxury tax. You did accomplish it, so you're back to zero now, right? So I would expect the money's there to spend. And I still feels weird talking about money when we're talking about the Yankees and being, like, responsible about it. But this is where we're at now. I think that's where they go. I think they get Rizzo for a deal that's similar to DJ LeMahieu's. I don't think he's going to command an insane amount of money. He's going to get paid, but not nothing like obscene. That's what I'm guessing. And then that brings it back to catcher. What? Gary Sanchez is eligible for arbitration. Are they really going to offer it to him again?
I think he's done.
I'm kind of thinking they've kind of showed it. Think about it. In the wild card game, who started behind the plate?
Yep.
It was Higashioka again.
And Higashioka is already what, 30 something?
Yeah, he's not the answer.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
So
Higgy's definitely not the answer.
We're going fishing.
No,
Definitely going fishing this year.
Higgy is great for Garrett
no.
Cole. He's a good backup, but he is not the everyday catcher for sure.
No, he's not, and that's fine. And he can be just like Austin Romine was before him. He's a solid catcher. He has some pop. I mean, he did hit 10 home runs. It's not like the guy has zero power. He tends to get some big hits too. He's good in his position. Now, what do you do at starting catcher? To tell you the truth, there's not a lot of options. You're going to probably have to go with a defensive first catcher and just accept the fact that your catcher is not going to hit over 20 home runs a year unless you're getting Sal Perez, which not
no.
that's not happening. No, that's I would be floored if that happened. I would go drive to the airport and go get him if that was the case. But that's not happening though. I mean, it's not realistic. I mean, the Royals are paying him. He's making money. But I just don't see him. I kind of see him being that guy who's like, yeah, I kind of want to finish my career there, and that's it. So there's not a lot of options. I honestly want to tell you the truth. I don't have any names on my radar that you're going to answer with, but it will have to be a guy who's a defensive first catcher, and you get what you get out of him offensively. I mean, it's kind of what it is. I mean, Sanchez will keep hitting you 20 homers, but he's going to hit 205 or 210, and he's not going to be great defensively. He's got a cannon for an arm. It's a shame that he can't catch because I'll tell you one thing, the guy can throw runners out.
Yep.
That's 100% there. The guy has like a howitzer back there. That thing is just ridiculous. Doesn't help if you can't catch the ball, though.
No.
It's true. Very true.
You know? Pitching, though, I mean, they tried the Kluber thing. I was excited about it. Got hurt again. Gave us a no-hitter, but got hurt again, so that didn't work out. I don't see them going down that road. You're going to have Cole. Severino could be your number two. Maybe, maybe not. Montgomery had a really good season. Jordan Montgomery, I felt, Lisa, we talked about it 1,000 times. The guy is like the worst luck in the world. He pitched his ass off.
Goodness.
Never gets run support, ever.
Yeah.
He pissed somebody off.
I know. I can't even talk about him anymore because I just feel bad for I just want to go over there and like wag my finger in front of all the batters because he showed up every time and did everything he had to do, and they just did not help him at all. So, and I would love for Monty to have a strong season next year if he gets that opportunity.
Yeah, no, I think he will. He'll be in a rotation next year. Him and Cole are pretty much fixtures. Severino's healthy. He'll be in a rotation, so that's 3. Tyone's going to be in a rotation again. He had a really good season. You had to give him some time, but he straightened things out around. Domingo Germán is also going to be an option out there too. But I still think you got to wonder what you're going to do for a number 2 starter. Another guy who's lights out that can back up Cole. Mm-hmm. And Cole, there's going to be some questions about Cole too because he pitched some good games after the whole spider attack shit blew up, but I don't know if he's a 300 strikeout guy anymore. I mean, that's like video game numbers. Mm-hmm. You know, but hey, if he's still striking out 240 or 250, I'm not going to complain about that. You're still getting a damn good pitcher who's one of the best in baseball, but he's going to have something to prove next season.
Absolutely.
He absolutely will. There's no question.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to spend a lot of money. That's where I think you could address the number 2 starter spot if you trade Gleyber Torres. Maybe you package him with Voit or something like that, and maybe that's the route you end up going to get a number 2 starter. Max Scherzer is going to be out there, but he's going to probably get a 2-year deal worth a ton of money. And he also said no New York when he was getting traded this season. He didn't want the Yankees or Mets. So I don't see him changing his mind suddenly in the offseason. He's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm going to go there now. That's not going to happen. So if they don't trade Gleyber, I think it's going to be Cole, Severino, Tyone. It's going to look very similar to what it was this season. But if they're able to keep pitching like they did this season, it's not the end of the world then.
Yeah, I would love. I know this isn't starting pitching, but just in terms of relievers, I would love to see a lot. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. They need to bring a lot of them back. Like if they let my boy Nasty Nestor Cortez Jr. go, I might have a problem with the New York Yankees.
And I know something. In all fairness, I will say that he slipped my mind there for the rotation. He had a really good season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious to see if he can do it again. Because I kind of looked at him as like a Sean Chacon, Adam Small from years ago. Remember those guys who came out of nowhere? You're like, who the fuck? It was almost like Major League. Like, who the fuck are these guys? And they came out of nowhere, and you're like, wow, they pitched really well. Yeah. Cortez was that guy. And in all fairness, he should get a shot in spring training to keep his spot in the rotation. He pitched really well. I mean, he's not a 2 or 3 guy, but he's a serviceable lefty that was there. I mean, I don't know.
At the very least, long reliever.
He's definitely got a spot on the team.
Because he has, so not only did he show up in terms of, like going length for the Yankees when they needed him, but like, come on. When you have a personality like his and like we talked about Wandy Peralta too, 2 different personalities, but the guy went and got a team turtle.
What happens to Bronxy? Where do you think Nestor keeps Bronxy?
I think he should, because when he first adopted Bronxy, we went on a nice little streak. I think where they blew it was they didn't think they could bring Bronxy across the border to Canada, and so they didn't. So I think that's where it's the fault of, I don't know, somebody in the Yankees office that didn't do their research on what animals can travel.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I would just love to see him back. I mean, that game where he made fun of the third base umpire for all those horrible calls
against the A's, yeah.
I mean, that's where he had my heart. He had my heart in that game. So I hope he and several other of the relievers come back, because they really just showed up. I mean, well, we could go ahead and start talking about them now.
Well, no, although the bullpen is going to be, there's going to have to be some stuff in the bullpen too, because like Chapman, it's the last year of Chapman's contract. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think he's going anywhere. He'll be there. He straightened himself out again at the end.
Yeah, but how many times did he have to?
I agree. That's the problem. I'm not saying Chapman is like untouchable or anything like that. But it's the last year of his contract. I think they're going to end up like rolling with him one more time, and then that'll be that with him. Jonathan Loaisiga was probably the most encouraging one because he stepped up this year. He became the legitimate setup man. Chad Green needs to be more consistent again, because him and Chapman were the like poster boys of blown games this year, like epically blown games, like gut wrenching. I don't even want to call it gut wrenching. It was like kicking the nuts losses this season. Like that's kind of what that was. Like, it has to be worse than gut wrenching. We're not wrenching guts anymore. We gone past that. There were some really bad ones this year.
So
really bad ones.
To be fair for Chad Green, though, I'm sure he didn't expect to be the guy that had to step in all that, because it, like Jonathan Loaisiga looked really great, and then he unfortunately got sick and he also got hurt. But like Chad Green, I think was called up. Like I think they overutilized him, and I think that was part of it as well.
Well, that's the thing that we talked about. We've talked about on the show before, is that when you're in this many close games all season, that means you're using the bullpen a lot, and they're going to be burnt out by the middle or 3/4 of the season, and by the playoff time they're on fumes then. So offense has got to hold up. It all goes together. You got the offense has got to hold up their part, start scoring more runs, get your blowouts here and there, get your easy wins, beat the crap out of the Orioles when you're supposed to.
Oh my god!
You would win the division pretty easily, to tell you the truth, and then you won't kill your bullpen. So Green is one who he'll be there, but you want to see more consistency. Loaisiga's there. Peralta you'll have again. I would like to see another arm in the bullpen, because Zach Britton's done.
Yep.
He's getting Tommy John, and that's next year's the last year of his contract, so that's a wrap for him.
And I believe you got your wish. Andrew Heaney, the Heen dog.
Andrew Heaney is DFA'd. He chose free agency. Congratulations. Good luck with that. Hopefully that works out for you.
He'll go to the National League and win 20 games. Watch.
Probably.
He'll end up with the Rays, and he'll win 20 games next season. And that'll happen. They'll figure out a way to fix him.
I don't know. I don't know what's in that stupid dome of theirs. How do they keep winning the way they do? But yeah, like you said, he'll go there and win 20 games, and we'll just be like, all right, another guy who can't pitch in New York, whatever.
Yeah, we got Nathan Eovaldi.
Yeah,
he was another one. But yeah, that's some of the stuff I think to look at, because there was a lot of underachieving on this team. We said we're going to grade people, which we talked about. I mean, I think we could agree that Stanton and Judge both get like A's, A+.
I mean, I'm super biased for one of them, but yes, I gave them both A's.
right? I would say so. They were the two ones
Yeah.
who had outstanding seasons. So for all the Stanton haters out there, they got a nice shit burger to eat this season because you got nothing to say now. I mean, the guy showed up in 2 postseasons and he's done it now. So get off his back. And if he goes 0 for 3 on opening day with 3 strikeouts, don't boo him. It's okay. It's one game.
Oh, they will.
Of course they will.
They will regardless.
Of course they will. But it's absurd.
And clearly, Judge deserves his A. Ed and I talked about this before we went live, but he is one of the finalists for the Hank Aaron Award, which is for outstanding offense. So he definitely showed up. I mean, he played center field more games than we thought he'd ever, and was just fine there. Lord only know. Well, Ed knows how many assists he has for the year. I mean, the guy made the game so exciting. So Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton for sure get my A's.
Let's see if I had to go through the entire team for A's.
Oh, there's not many.
No, there's not. I'd probably go with Judge, Stanton, Loizaga.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it.
Yep.
That's pretty much it, right? If I was guessing this right. Well, I think Gallo.
This is probably a nice A, so maybe like a B plus. But I did have Nestor Cortez too, only because like the guy was not
blew away expectations.
Uh-huh.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's definitely fair. Okay, so.
Oh, I'm sorry. One more. But he shouldn't get an A only because he only played in 4 games. But when Sevy came back, he was fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah. I got to ding him for setbacks and things of that nature. But, I mean, if we look at that and we go ahead and look at Rizzo and Gallo, all right, our trade deadline pickups.
Mm-hmm.
Gallo probably gets like a C minus or something like that if you really want to.
I gave him a C.
Out. Yeah, there was a ton of strikeouts. You hit like a buck and change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your defense was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Rizzo probably a B minus or something like that. I mean, he had a great first week. I'll give him that. But no, he had some clutch hits and stuff. I do like the choking up in the back, going the other way. His approach to the game is why I like him so much, because he's kind of like a throwback, very similar to like DJ LeMahieu and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an excellent defender. So that's kind of where I'll go with him.
And stupid COVID.
Yes, and COVID got him. And
stop that momentum.
Yeah, it dead in its tracks.
I told you in the game. I'm sure at least you don't know about the game. I made those deals on the video game, and even the computer said no, you can't do that. So that's how good those deals were for the Yankees. The computer was like, no, you got to get rid of one of these guys, and the computer would actually trade Gallo right away. Like, you can't have these guys on the same team. It's not right. So they were 2 great deals, but Gallo, didn't work out as well as we wanted.
Yeah.
But I think he'll be okay next year. I think he'll be all right going in as a full season. So I'm good with that.
DJ LeMahieu. That's got to be like a C minus or an F or something. I mean, the guy hit he hit like 100 points lower than he did last season.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And that's people talking. That's people saying the contract year. That you got your money, now you just relax, kind of bullshit. But I don't see. Yeah, I don't see DJ as that kind of guy.
No, I don't see that.
No.
But when you don't sniff those numbers of the last 2 seasons, that's not good. I mean, he was one of the problems this year. Unfortunately, he needs to perform closer. I'm not saying he's got to hit 340 or something like that, but got to hit closer to 300 at least. I mean, to warrant that type of thing. They're on the 20 homers and stuff like that.
However, I think a C minus is a little harsh. I gave him a C because without him, we would have had a lot more struggles in the field.
For sure.
Every freaking position, pretty much.
That's true.
So I do think he's a major asset when it comes to just being a utility player.
I could agree with that. Defensively is where he showed up mostly this season.
Yes.
It's just that offense, man. The fact that it dropped that hardcore. That was tough. That was tough. And I guess, Brett Gardner, I don't know, man. Like,
I gave him a B. I gave him a B for nostalgia.
I guess.
And for helping out when we really needed it and we weren't expecting it from him.
Yeah, I think if we just mentioned what the expectations were, he had to play way above it.
He played in 140 games.
Yeah, he wasn't supposed to come anywhere near that.
No.
So I give him credit just for getting out there and staying healthy to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I guess if we look at Gio Urshela, the defense was great again, but the offense took a step back to more of what we thought Gio Urshela would be, what he was prior to being with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would go B with him, mainly because of the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Luke Voigt, that's an F. That's just, there's nothing good there. I'm sorry. There's not. The defense sucked. The offense sucked. He was hurt most of the season. I love his attitude, but
yeah, I didn't give him an F. I gave a couple people Fs, but I gave Luke Voigt a D.
Okay.
A part of that D is the way he wears his shirt.
That was pretty badass. I gotta give him that. That is badass.
What did I say last year?
You did. No, it was all about it.
I hate the flap. I hate the open flap.
Him and Rougned Odor and that though. I can't remember. It was a Cleveland Indian guy. That guy does it way too crazy. He's got like 3 buttons.
Yeah, this ain't the 70s. You're not going to go to the disco with fucking John Travolta. Button your goddamn shirt up. It's a baseball team, for Christ's sake. Especially the Yankees. Button that up.
I'm surprised they don't get fined for that, to be honest. Though, as strict as the Yankees are.
Yeah. I guess position players wise, I mean, if we want to grade them, Rougned Odor was. Lisa, what did you give him? You can give me a ballpark here.
I gave him a B-, and it's not necessarily for his performance, but for what he did for the team. You know, like in the clubhouse and being the hype man for the team. So, you know, when he was on the field, he, you know, it's like comme ci, comme ça. Like I could take him, I could leave him.
Yeah.
But his energy and his enthusiasm were something that, like, I don't feel like a lot of the players over the last couple of years had that. You know, there were always so many hype men on the team in the past. Yeah. So you need that. You need that energy. You need that guy that's going to be the first one out there when you do something big. So I appreciate that about him. I gave him a B-.
I'm kind of with Tim. I saw Tim flash out to C. I'm probably
B-
around there.
And C are right there with each other.
No, I just think the C is because, I mean, again, like he got some big hits. I'll give him that. He came through clutch a lot. Mm-hmm. Overall, though, some more strikeouts. Defense not great. You know, that type of thing. His enthusiasm is great. Mm-hmm. He did more than Luke Voigt did.
Yes, he did.
I'll give him that. He's going to be on the team next year. I'll be shocked if he's not because they're pretty much got him for free. They're not paying him a dime. So, but he can't be your starting everyday position player.
No.
Whether at second or third. He's like a nice lefty off the bench. Fine. I can go with that.
Yeah.
Tyler Wade. I mean, I'm not a huge Tyler Wade fan at all. He did have a little stretch where he hit well. When he got to play, he was.
See, I'm doing the C.
You're flashing C's? Is that what you're?
Yeah.
Minus.
Oh, dang, that's harsh.
He's fast. I mean, he still brings that.
Yeah.
He's versatile defensively, but outside of a week, he doesn't really hit his way out of a wet paper bag still. I know I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm going to keep going with it. I mean,
yeah.
I guess.
I'm not mad at a C.
Gary Sanchez?
F.
All right, let's see.
Dang, Tim.
The F is, you know what the F is for? Frustration. That's what the F is for.
There's so much there. There's more there. We've seen it.
It's there. He just. I don't know. I don't understand it. So I give an F for frustration.
The F for frustration. I kind of like the F for frustration. Like I like the connection there. My grade of there, I would probably give him like a C.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I mean,
I'm saying D. I thought you'd give him a D at least.
Put it this way. I'll explain it quickly though. He still had his power. He hit over his 20 home runs. His average sucks. His on-base percentage sucks. His defense was better than it was last year. Last year, he literally couldn't catch.
Last year was an F.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, defensively for most of the year, you didn't hear a peep about it because there was nothing to complain about. But then you have the Friday night game against the Mets with the tag or not tag. is the better way to put
The
it.
non-tag.
How does that happen? You're a Major League Baseball player. How is that even fathomable?
You're sitting there waiting for the guy, and then you go, "Oh, let me let his legs pass by me. I'm gonna tag him on the head."
Are you out of your mind?
Dude.
You're bigger than him too. What were you afraid of? So that's where I'm gonna go with C- just because of it is connected to last year. I'll put it that way. So that's what I'll say. Lisa, what did you go with?
I went with a C, but I could be persuaded to a C minus.
Yeah. But I like the F for frustration though. Tim, that's creative.
I
like
do
that.
like that.
I was actually pretty good. I can get on board with that because he is the most frustrating player to watch on this team because we've seen him be great and you still got to feel that it's in there somewhere. 2016, 2017, he was great.
No.
Arguably the best.
I'm not arguing that, but you said he's the most frustrating player, and my first reaction was I think Aroldis Chapman is, but
he would be number 2.
He'd be number 2.
Right, too. I mean, he's right. He is 100% in that conversation.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
And his Sanchez too. Why it's frustration is because of the attitude. He'll go on an 0 for 10 streak, hit a home run in the 3rd inning, and act like it's the greatest home run in the history of man. Dude, relax. Like, relax. You hit one. Good. Thank you. We appreciate it.
You are not Giancarlo Stanton. You do not get the back flip me.
Yeah, you don't get the flip to stare. Just run the goddamn bases, get back to the dugout, and do it again. Don't go for your next 0 for 10. Hit the home run. Yeah, good. Thank you. We appreciate it. Now do it again. Hit consistent.
Yeah,
consistent. He doesn't have it. He just doesn't have that.
Rougned Odor, by the way, if we're talking about bat flips, he really pimps every home run. So,
listen, he pimps the way he walks up to the. I told you the way he walks
he
up.
Does.
Yeah,
he does.
He does, which it's very strange to me, but
it's
whatever.
So strange.
It is funny. I guess I mean I don't have to go through every single player, but I think like we talked about the rotation pretty extensively, through that. I mean, the pitching definitely gets like a B+ for me overall.
Before we go to pitching, I do want to shout out 2 people that had very brief how you doings because you know that I love them both.
I know where we're going. Go ahead.
So I do have to say, for the hot second that I blinked and he was gone, Greg Allen, I gave you a B+ for your very short time in the Yankees. I loved you. I hope I see you again. I saw you in the dugout in the
Greg
wild
Allen
card game.
He was on the wild card game.
I was very excited about that. And then the person who actually played in the wild card game and just has a nice background story. I don't know if we'll see him again, and I don't think he thinks we're going to see him again either because his Instagram page was like, "Thank you for letting me live out my dream." But Andrew Velasquez too. The squid.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I mean, if the offseason goes the way that I'm envisioning it, no, we're not going to see Andrew Velasquez.
No, I know.
We would see a whole lot of Corey Seager, if it goes the way that I would like to see it. But
yeah.
I think the pitching, though, we talked about it extensively, so I don't think we need to go player by player. But overall, the pitching starting rotation definitely gets like a B+ for me. Not going to act like they were the best ones there, but they carried the team when the offense couldn't do anything all season. So they definitely exceeded expectations. And the bullpen, I don't know, probably a B- or something like that, because there were guys who took steps back, and there were guys who took steps forward.
Yeah,
Chapman, fair. Green took steps back. Loaizaga, Peralta stepped up.
Yep.
Michael King is a guy who I'm excited about too. And Tim's heard me going on about Michael King. He was really good out of the bullpen. I don't know if that's where he ends up landing. Maybe he gets a shot in the rotation in spring training, but I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him too. So,
I think he has a legit shot too, like you said about Nestor about long relief. Also, I think he'd be good in that role. So yeah.
There's some stuff at the end. Listen, Cashman's got some work to do, and I think the last 2 people will grade before we wrap this up. And they're hot button topics. So is Cashman and Boone. I mean, I guess we start with Boone. I think Boone, for what a major league manager is asked to do right now, he gets a suggested lineup sent down to him. He's able to change it if he wants to, but I don't think he often does because I think he is on board with it. I don't think he disagrees with it. I think that's why he's there. His contract's up, so it's not like they're firing him if they don't. The players seem to like him a lot. Aaron Judge spoke very highly of him after the wild card loss and stuff like that. But I'm also not realistically expecting guys to be like, yeah, by the way, fuck him, he sucks. Like, I'm not also expecting that either. My problem with Boone over the course of these last 2 seasons specifically is his in-game management of the bullpen. He has some real head scratchers there. But I'm like, why is this happening? There is no logical excuse for this. And the last one was that Friday night against the Rays. You're down 1 and you go to Albert Abreu when you had Aroldis Chapman warming up and Lucas Litke warming up. By the way, kudos to Lucas Litke in the bullpen, by the way. I'm sorry, we almost left him out. Really good season, especially the guy hasn't been in the majors in like 8 seasons. So he's he gets lots of kudos for that. It just makes no sense sometimes. And he sticks with guys too long and he goes to guys too short at times. So I don't know, honestly. I think it's a 50-50 proposition whether Boone is back. I really don't know. I'm totally 50-50 on this.
So even though Steinbrenner had mentioned that he's likely not going anywhere, you think there's a possibility that he might change his mind?
I think there's a possibility. I mean, I think it has to be 50-50. I mean, he can't not be held accountable for players underachieving. Like we just went over with the whole roster. That does fall on the manager too. I also say a couple of years ago, he's got to get credit for when the team gets banged up and injured and still wins over 100 games a year. You can't act like, you can't acknowledge one and don't acknowledge the other. So I think it goes both ways. But again, now if you want to go back to what have you done for me lately, the team's underachieved last season and this season. There's no way around that. They absolutely have.
They've underachieved from our standards. They've underachieved for sure. But I do want to say I looked up manager rankings and he ranked 5th. So let me just rattle off his stats as the man. So he ranked number 5, and this is in all of the major leagues. 92 wins, 70 losses. Win-loss percentage is 57%. I'm rounding it up by 2 points. They finished in 2nd place. They lost in the postseason once. He had 10 challenges, 3 overturned, and his overturn rate is 30%, obviously, and he got ejected 6 times.
I enjoy the Aaron Boone ejections. I'm all about that because I think they're very entertaining.
Those are my favorite. And I do have to say that I appreciated his challenges too. I think there were a lot of times where, we could rate the umpires too overall. They would get a very low grade for this year. But you have to be attentive to those things. And then when umpires are making terrible calls for pitches and for balls and strikes, like so obvious that like the little box they put, I know it's on TV only, but when this is the box and the ball and the ball is over here, when they show it to you, that's a major problem. Yeah. So MLB's got to do something about the umpires as well. But I don't know. I mean, I think Boone, I would be surprised if he doesn't come back next year. I do think that they're gonna keep him around again. We did get into the postseason, wasn't great. It took until the very last day of the season to get into it. But I think there need to be maybe changes elsewhere on the managerial staff, on the coaching staff, excuse me.
Well, yeah, specifically the third base coach. We felt that get you guys thrown out, but well, I think it goes back to like Tim and I did the season preview show, right? We talked about a lot of under and overs. And we weren't the only ones. I mean, this team was expected to destroy the American League and easily go to the World Series because the Rays were supposed to take a step back. The Red Sox weren't supposed to be contending. The Blue Jays are the ones who were on the radar, right? Like we knew they were up and coming team. We figured they were going to score a bunch and their pitching wasn't going to be great. I think some of their pitching overachieved, but we'll see how that goes. But they're not going anywhere. The Rays have made it clear they're not going away. And I don't think the Red Sox go backwards. They're not going away either. You're going to play the toughest division of baseball. But again, a team that was picked across the board to represent the American League in the World Series struggled to barely make the playoffs and lost in the AL wildcard game. I think that you got to hold them to a high standard with that. It's not like they have nobody on this team. And that's where I think that's got to fall on the manager to an extent. I mean,
I think he comes back with the old 1-year deal. Maybe
that wouldn't
two.
shock me. It wouldn't shock me.
Maybe 2 at the most. They're not giving him no 3, 4, or 5-year deal.
No.
He's going to get a 1 with that you better, or a 2 with the owner's option to fire you after 1, or maybe even a half, depending on how they start off next year.
So I actually think they need to do that. I think this is one of the things that's been missing ever since George Steinbrenner passed. Like the fire from the owner to like really put crazy expectations on the team and then make them live up to it. The accountability. I don't know. I feel like Hal Steinbrenner is like he doesn't do it for me the way his dad did. And don't get me wrong, George Steinbrenner pissed everybody off. You know, a lot of times it's just like, yo, man, shut up. But you got used to that as a Yankee fan, and you know, all of the Yankees in the 90s say, yeah, we all knew, like, we had a win for Mr. Steinbrenner. There wasn't a question about that. Now it's like, I don't think part of the Yankees, you know, Ed and I were talking about this at the end of the season. Like, I'm not sure that they didn't live and breathe, we have to win. And I think that's part of the problem with this season was like, Derek Jeter used to say, we got next game. We've got the next game. You know, what are we going to do for the next game? How are we going to, what are the adjustments we have to make? And I posted about this too. Like, you have to make an adjustment between every at bat, between every inning, between every game, between every series. It can't just be, oh, that game's fine because it's a game in the beginning of June. Who cares? Well, guess what? That game in June might have meant everything to you in the stretch. So I don't know. I just feel like when you're the Yankees and you have that expectation and the whole world expects your team to be a good team and an elite team, I need the owner to be more fired up. And I don't know, Hal Steinbrenner is just like, a lot of people were like, George Steinbrenner needs to calm down. Hal Steinbrenner needs to get a little hyped up, in my opinion.
Well, I think Hal is just being his own self. Like, he's doing what he does. He's very much about the bottom line. I get that. He's an economics guy and stuff like that. I don't have any issues with Hal. I mean, listen, for as much as George was an adventure to watch and crazy and calling Hideki Arabu a fat toad and all the craziness over there.
I don't want that extreme.
Yeah, we don't need all of that. But
no.
And I don't need him firing Billy Martin every other season and bringing him back and all the wild crazy shit. Because George did a lot of bad and he also did a lot of good. There was a mixed bag. A lot of people sometimes try to remember the good without the bad now because that's how it went out on the end. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with Hal. I'm fine with it. I think he trusts Brian Cashman a lot to run the baseball activities or that part of the organization, and rightfully so. And I guess that transitions us to talk about Cashman before we wrap. I think Cashman has done an exceptional job again. I'm sorry, like Tim mentioned, the Rizzo trade, great. The Gallo trade, great. I don't mind them snatching up Odor for pretty much nothing. The Clay Holmes trade, by the way, which we didn't bring up in the bullpen section. Clay Holmes, they unlocked him, and he's been awesome. Mm-hmm. So he's another strength there. The Wandy Peralta trade, another really good trade that Cashman made this season. You got to look at those deals. The Andrew Heaney one, that did not work out. So let's just say he's one for, he came through with like 4 out of 5 trades were the right moves. Cashman's money is his best deals are in trades. Free agency could be hit or miss at times. We've had Kagawa, we have Carl Pavano, Jacoby Ellsbury. We can go down the line for those. But he also has the Garrett Coles, CC Sabathia, Mike Cucina deals. Yes, Cashman's been around that long.
Yeah.
To sign those guys. Hideki Matsui, things like that. So I still think Cashman needs to do what it is, but the slight alternation of the approach with the analytics is the problem. I think the thing is this. The Rays are a very analytic team. The Dodgers are a very analytic team. The Astros are a very analytic team besides other things. But they are all successful. That's where the game is at. You're not applying the analytics correctly is my problem. It can't be the end-all be-all where you can put me in the dugout or any of us in the dugout and say, oh, yeah, here's the spreadsheet from up top. Oh, sure, here we go. Here's the lineup card, and that's it. You can't do that. Oh, the spreadsheet says that we should take this guy out in the 6th inning today. He has to face this guy. That's not how it goes. Like, there needs to be a mixture of it. Like with the Red Sox, they're also a very analytic team. But they let Cora do his own thing at times. You kind of got to have a balance of the two. Having information's not bad, but it can't determine every single little move that you make. It can't be the dictation of everything.
Right.
So you need to go back to the drawing board and to make the adjustment there. If Boone is back, that's fine. But we actually legitimately don't know what kind of a manager Boone is, really, because of the analytics. If he's doing it, it's kind of hard to say. But I will just say that his bullpen in-game management is my problem. That's my issue with him, where I strike him the most, is because the pitching moves don't make any sense at times.
I was going to say, Ed, real quick, that when you said it before, I tried to keep my composure and not blow my top. But you said when the suggested comes down from top, that pisses me off so much.
They've admitted it.
I know, I agree with that.
Yeah, they've admitted it. That's not even something I'm making up.
But can you imagine saying that to a Billy Martin, to one of those guys? Oh, here's a suggestion. He'd tell you to go fuck yourself.
Billy Martin would have taken the paper and literally wiped his ass with it.
Yeah, he would have
did some crazy shit like that.
And then lit it on fire and threw it onto the field.
Yeah, he's like, I know, like they said, you're supposed to know your team well enough where you don't need a goddamn computer from upstairs to tell you what you need to win and what you got to do. So the analytic part of this game is really getting on my nerves. But unfortunately, it is a part of the game now. Like you said, all the teams that are successful right now are using it to a degree.
Yeah.
So whatever. But I mean, Cashman, in my opinion, by the way, to me, he's got a lifetime job.
Yeah, he's done great.
To me, as long as he wants to be it, he can have it. Unless he makes something real horrendous fuck up of a decision, I think that job is his for as long as he wants it. Just my opinion.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, Hal has literally said it, like he's a part of the family. The guy's not going anywhere. So for those people who are screaming, fire Cashman, like, you need to get over it. It's not happening. There's no chance that it happening.
I mean, the one thing I agree with both of you about that. I think he's got it for life too. But the one thing I will say is, like, anything can happen, right? Yeah. So I do hope that Cashman is strategically, like, teaching some people, more than one person, what he does, right? Because I do feel like I feel like part of that is he is just a very, very smart and savvy person when it comes to the work that he does. So I do hope that he is training up some folks for, God forbid something happens, like he has to have surgery in the most important part of the season, or anything like that. And just so that, like, when it is time for him to retire in that role, there's somebody already there to take his spot immediately, and we're not shuffling around like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? No. Because when you do it like that, it's easy. It's easy. Just train somebody, throughout the course of the next X number of years until you feel like you don't want to do this anymore. So, and it's not as long as he takes care of his health and his blood pressure and stuff, it's not a hard ask for him that he'll be here for God knows how many more years.
No.
Yeah, and get back to, sometimes it's not the best player, it's the right player. Right. I love that analogy. No one was signing Scott Brosius in '98. We were like, we're going to sign him because he's the right player for us right now.
Mm-hmm.
MVP of the World Series, had a phenomenal career for the Yankees. That's what I want to see again. Not the guy in the computer saying, well, this is send that down to the manager. Yeah. Okay, that ain't gonna fly anymore. But
I mean, also though, look at Gio Urshela.
I'm more old school when it comes to that. But whatever, it's part of the game. I get it.
Yeah, it's Gio Urshela though, getting DJ LeMahieu when nobody wanted him. These are guys that nobody wanted. And Tim, that goes to what you just said. Yeah. It might not be the best player in the world right now, but he's the right guy, and they've gotten some of that.
But DJ, I never expected him to be like, oh, we don't. He's pretty much done. How do you?
I was shocked. I was shocked that they.
How do you even say that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Because it's not like he came out of nowhere. The guy did, again, he's won batting titles and gold gloves with the Colorado Rockies, so it's not like he just popped out of nowhere. No one knows who he was before that. So, all right. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up season 2 of the Empire 161 show. Tim, thanks for coming back and
I did show 1. I had to do the last one. So
yes, exactly. There you go. Bookends.
The bookends.
Yes, exactly. There you go. And there it is. Our last time for 2021. So
no Liza Minnelli ever. No Liza Minnelli ever.
No, that was like extra torture. That was the salt in the wound. Come on now. And I just love the fact that she got upset about it when she heard about it. So that made me laugh even more. Hers is the original version though, which I still think is a weird fact to know. It's very strange. But thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Everyone who's checked us out this season, we really appreciate it. We had a blast doing the show. As always, wish it would have turned out better, but unfortunately not. We'll get back to them next year. We will have an off-season special once the hot stove gets cooking, so watch out for that. But yeah, check out Pop Culture Pros. If you're checking us out on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Check out all the other good shows. You got Tim, who is on doing a wrestling show on Just Too Sweet on Tuesdays. He'll have Shooting the Sith coming out, which is, I guess, Tim, it's a spinoff of Empire 161. Could we call it a spinoff?
Kind of.
Right? We used to call it Star Wars on here.
It is kind of a spinoff, yeah.
It's a spinoff, right? So you got that coming your way. We'll be talking about Book of Boba Fett, I'm sure, in a couple months or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you're into comic book stuff, you can check out Granny's Peach Tea. We just put up a brand new episode right before this in the first half of the doubleheader of this Saturday. You're into the Giants, you can check out Tim again and Farachi on the
Jeez, Tim.
Tim's everywhere, baby.
I'm a whore.
He is everywhere.
I'm a press whore.
He is omnipresent on Pop Culture Pros. Yeah, you all. My other partner on Granny's Peach Tea, Jason, will be doing 00 Deep Dive. We'll be talking about the James Bond movies coming out. So we got that. Jada and Kyle will be back talking about movies at some point, at some time. One of Tim's partners, A to Z. You can check out Eric on the A to Z show, usually on Monday nights, and we'll see where they end up now. And that's it. So, Lisa, any parting words before we wrap up for the season?
Like I said earlier on in the show, it's just been a blast these last 13 episodes. Tim, I appreciate you supporting me tagging in. It's been a lot of fun. Ed, thank you so much for, I got excited. I was like, I can do it with you. And you were like, yeah. So just appreciate that. It's been lots of fun. And I look forward to next season.
All right. Yeah. And listen, can't wait for next season to get here already. That's it. Just super excited to talk about it. So, everyone, have a nice winter. I'll see you guys on Granny's Peach Tea and probably Shooting the Sith and everything else. I'll be popping around too. So, we'll see you soon. Let's go Yankees.
That's right. Always.
2020, always. That never changes.